were made for this.
Right, well, hello everyone, and I just really wanted to talk about the new MechWarrior 5 Clans trailer that got released with Gamescom last night. I watched it when I woke up this morning and I was insanely hyped. There was so much things in there I really liked. I really like the look of this, and it's October the 3rd, cannot come soon enough, exactly a month before my birthday. The new Vox Machina series the same day. That is going to be one hell of a good day for me anyway, that's for sure. Doggo, what are you doing? Don't break the green screen. Come, lie down. But yes, there was... Oh, you've broke the green screen. You broke it. Right, I'll be back in a second. So yes, now that that is all fixed and sorted, without any further ado, let's just... I just wanted to talk and I just wanted to ramble about a lot of the few things I noticed. And also, big shout out to Big Red, because he noticed something that I didn't. I can't remember which one of these it is off the top of my head, but there was one thing here that I didn't notice. I'll hopefully remember as I'm going through and I'll point out which one is. Yeah, but Big Red had a video out about it as well and all the stuff he noticed, and he noticed one thing I didn't. So yeah, shout out to him. He's an amazing YouTuber I love following. He's got great lure videos on MechWarrior and the universe and all that stuff, and I love following it for that reason. But yes, right, on to all the wee stuff. I noticed, like, we got to see a lot of the new user interface. It looks a lot more polished. The graphics look a lot more polished. They don't look better, but look more polished. And like, it's like jumping from SD to HD back in the day. I don't know how to describe it. The models look the same, but they just look nicer. I'm guessing it's because they've put some weathering or something in there, but off the top of my head I can't remember what exactly made them look better. They just did. But yeah, the new user interface looks cleaner, it looks nicer. And there was a full new interface that looks like it's a real-time strategy game. Like, it's got real-time strategy elements for when you're playing, like, with the AI. So you're the only player in your star, which is the clan version of a lance, for those of you coming over from MechWarrior 5 Merc that don't know anything about the clans. They operate in stars instead of lances. So instead of being like 4 mechs, it'll be 5. So they've got the star, the 5 points of the star. And this is a story-based game, and you play as the star throughout the campaign. And you can play as any member of the star at any point in any time, from what I've seen as well. And when you're playing single player, it's a bit like MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, where you like get to control everyone else, but the norm is quite hard to do in MechWarrior 5 Mercs because you're doing it from just like button pushes, and it's you need to... It's an acquired skill, we'll just say. Sort of like you just give them your orders quickly, and it's very basic orders like follow me, attack my target, that sort of stuff. Hold fire. As the doggo runs past, breaking the green screen slightly, but I don't think enough for me to warrant fixing it. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, we got to look at the new user interface in detail for that. Hopefully I've done my job and I've put it behind me as we're talking, and it looks much more like a traditional real-time strategy game where you can just go like, send this guy here, send that guy there, and control them that sort of way, which is going to mean you're going to need to be in a lull of your own personal combat. Say you're just walking over to your next objective and you want to send a member off to go deal with something over there. So yeah, it does look like that is going to be, especially with it being more story based, with it being more scripted, with it being the levels much more like that. It was going to make much more sense, because there's going to be times when you're going to be trying to defend 2 locations, attack 2 locations, do several things at once. Where in MechWarrior 5 Merc, just with the sandbox nature of the game, you normally just go in, barrel roll through that objective, barrel roll through this objective. It's not normally that great an idea to split up. Mainly for balance reasons, because it's every single part of the map's designed to have the full Lance's firepower. Whereas these levels, they can be much more scripted, they can be much more fine-tuned, they can be much more balanced as well, because in the sandbox nature of MechWarrior 5, they've got the tonnage, but tonnage isn't always the best way to balance like mechs, like because some mechs have a hell of a lot of firepower for their tonnage, other mechs have a hell of a lot of armor for their tonnage. So if you're going in with every single mech's got a hell of a lot of armor, not that much firepower, then you're going to be taking a lot more damage, and you're going to, like, the fights are going to be long. There's going to be, but because this is more story based, they're going to be able to fine tune the resources you have available and that sort of stuff. The balance should be much more on point in this than it should be in MechWarrior 5 Mercs. But yeah, I do see it working quite well, having this sort of real-time strategy like elements to it. Right, we talked about that. The Omni-Mech customization as well. When we're in the UI, we got to take a look at our first look at the Mech Lab, and this is the part Big Red talked about. He suspects that it is going to be Omni-Mech only, because as you're looking at the Mech Lab was clearly for an Omni-Mech, and it was had locked options, locked away that you couldn't access, that could be used to do like other stuff that Omni-Mechs don't have access to. I suppose I'll do a quick description of what an Omni-Mech is for those of you that aren't as knee-deep in the lure as I am. An Omni-Mech is a clan invention, so that's why they're not in MechWarrior 5s at all, because the Inner Sphere didn't have them then, only the clans had them, and the Inner Sphere only started making them once the clans sort of introduced them to them, which they're going to do in this game basically. And that is with an Omni-Mech is, if you imagine you've got the base chassis of a mech, and then you, instead of adding weapons to it, you'll add pods. These are called the Omni Pods, and those pods will have some heat sinks, they'll have some like weapons, and they'll have some other stuff to like customize the mech. And it makes repair and swapping out parts and even swapping out loadouts for mechs really fast and really easy. So they're really, really valued for their utility in the franchise. So, like, instead of having, like, this is my Centurion and this is its loadout, I need to spend, like, 3 weeks changing it if I'm going to change it. And that's it. Like, that's how I'm going to, this whole campaign, this is how I'm rocking out. With an Omni-Mech, you'd have, this is my Timberwolf, and this mission, we're going to need a lot of LRMs, so I'm going to take this loadout on it. Because the Omnipods are like just like slot in, slot out, done really fast, really easy. Just as long as you've got like a crane powerful enough to lift these parts on and off, there we go. Boom, you can change your full loadout. Well, not your full loadout, but yeah, that's what an Omni-Mech is. So instead of having like weapons you take on and off, you have pods, which makes them much more customizable on the fly. But it reduces their customizability in the fine details, because Omni-Mechs can't have their engines changed, they can't have their armor changed, they can't have other stuff changed. So they're sort of like, you've got the base chassis that never changes, and then you've got your Omnipods, which you can tinker with and like maybe swap a weapon or so, but they're not done as often. So yeah, that's what an Omni-Mech is. And we've seen this mech lab that was specifically designed for Omni-Mechs. So it's also, because it's a story game, I kind of like this and I kind of hate it at the same time. Because it's a story-based game, I want like the IP to be a wee bit respected a wee bit more than it would be, because it's still a game. I still want to be able to do stuff like customize stuff, even though that's not common in the franchise and in the lure. Normally only like big named famous people get like a customized rig with special equipment and this, that, and the next thing. Like off the top of my head, like the Yen Lo Wang for the Allard, Justin Allard and his son, Natasha Kerensky. Her Warhammer was rumored, I don't think it was ever confirmed, but it was like rumored in IP and out IP to be riddled with Star League era technology. which actually makes a lot of sense considering when you know the storyline about her origins and her Merc unit's origins. I won't say much more for spoiler reasons for those reading through the books. Yeah, so it's not really that common in the IP at all, but in games like MechWarrior 5, we do it galore. We're like, oh, we'll rip this off, we'll add that. There's like, if they were wanting to make it like very, very true to the IP, if we were playing MechWarrior 5, we wouldn't be customizing things at all. We'd maybe have like our one mech that was meant to be like our leader of our mech, our personal mech kind of thing. And that would be the one mech that was like kitted out, customized, and changed. Everything else would be pretty much the base variant, and then maybe like the odd bit like, oh, we don't have this autocannon to replace it here, so we'll do this slightly different autocannon. But it wouldn't still be classed as an AC-10. Like, AC-10 is more like many, many different types of AC-10s. It's just all these guns around this size are classed as AC-10s in the IP kind of thing. So like, it'd be quite common for a Centurion that had its default AC-10 blown off to get like a different manufacturer's AC-10, for example. But it wouldn't be quite common for like the stuff like happened to the Yellow Wang, where the AC-10 was taken away and an AC-20 was put in its place. That stuff like that's not that common. So yes, an Omni-Mech. And it looks like there's going to be Omni-Mech customizations. And back, I've went off way off on a tangent because I am a ramble, and as I said, I am hyper, so I'm going to be rambling. This is me rambling about the new trailer video because I'm hype about it. But yeah, Big Red, he pointed out that he thinks that for the campaign at least, it looks like we may be locked to Omni-Mechs, which again, if we're a frontline unit, that sort of makes sense because the way the clans viewed Omni-Mechs is they viewed Omni-Mechs as kind of like their best tools, their best weapons, their best of the best. Like, and they gave them to their frontline pilots. They gave them to their people that are going in to engage and attack the enemy, because the clans really sort of valued that offense. They've like, offense is everything, like kind of thing. Their mentality, their mindset, their sort of warrior code, and they seen Omni-Mechs as the best, the be-all and end-all, and then they gave their regular mechs to like their second line, their garrison units, their subpar warriors as they seen them kind of thing. So stuff like the Stone Rhino, which I really love. It is a beautiful mech, it is a powerful mech, but it wasn't an Omni-Mech. So because the clans loved their Omni-Mechs, it was instantly like, boom, relegated to being like a garrison style unit, when rarely saw action on the front line. But I really love the Stone Rhino. Might be my favourite clan mech that I know of. The Stone Rhino, love it, a big beautiful 100-tonner. But yeah, so that's what the Big Red noticed that I didn't. Right, so I've rambled on enough about Omni-Mechs, enough that we talked about that. Aerospace fighters. I seen aerospace fighters in the trailer. I don't know if they looked like they were allied at one of the bits I seen them. I don't think I noticed at any point in the trailer you shooting aerospace fighters, but them being there is a big deal. Like, I don't think we've ever had aerospace fighters in like, we definitely didn't have them in MechWarrior 5 Mercs. So they're new in to clans from MechWarrior 5 Mercs. And along with that, the whole lot of combined arms stuff looks like it's had an overall. Like the VTOLs, for example, the VTOLs in MechWarrior 5 Mercs are just flies for you to swat. They're irritating little things. They're just going to like plink, 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 slowly plink away at you if you don't deal with them. But they're not like, it's like, oh, 1 damage, oh, 1 damage, oh, 1 damage. And even the bigger VTOL, well, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the one that had the bigger firepower, even that, they'd have a lot of firepower and could deal damage if you didn't kill them. But they were just so fast and easy to kill, and same with tanks. Like a lot of the tanks in MechWarrior 5 Mercs, I'm just going to start calling it Mercs. A lot of the tanks in Mercs had the firepower, like the Demolishers, like the other 100-tonner tanks. They had the firepower, and it was a scary amount of firepower. But they died so fast and so easy. Like a 100-tonner tank in the IP, like more often than not, has even more armor than like the. I don't know if it has more armor than an Atlas, or is like but it's not far from it. I think it's more, but it might, I'm not sure off the top of my head. But it is going to be as hard to take down as an Atlas, at least. And the VTOLs we've seen in this trailer didn't look like they were pushovers. They looked like they took a lot of firepower to bring down. And I noticed as well they had target points on the engines. So it looks like you're going to be aiming at the engines to try and take them down faster, kind of thing. Like, they are critical points, like the cockpit is heavily armoured, whereas the engines are lightly armoured. You damage the engine, you might be able to kill them almost as fast if you get like a good critical hit on the engine. But it did look like they were having to direct a lot more firepower at the VTOLs than they would in a normal Mercs game. Right, moving on to the other stuff. I think that's everything, actually. So yes, we rambled on a lot more about Omnimex and some other stuff. I am really excited for this. I'm really excited for this story and see where it goes. I'm really excited as well for the prospects of DLCs. I would imagine there wouldn't be as many DLCs for this game, but I would imagine they'd be slightly bigger. It depends on what vein they do them. I really hope they give it as much DLC attention post-launch that they did Mercs. Because Mercs has had a lot of really good DLCs, like, and a lot has been added to the games. Like that latest one, even though the storyline missions mucked up for me and I had that glitch and I couldn't even play through them, that DLC's felt worth it to me just for the simple fact that it added arenas to it and the amount of content the arenas have had. And it added, like, those little Urbies. I love so much the little Urbies with the boosters. Me fly around, the little hero Urbies. And, oh, they're beautiful. I love those little Urbies. The little fast Urbies. It feels so wrong, an Urbie moving fast. So, yeah, I really like that DLC for that sort of stuff. But the DLCs for this game, I imagine, would be a bit more time and sense, a bit harder to create because they're going to be story based. They're not as sandboxy. Where if it's sandboxy, you can kind of just build a map and here we go, job's done. Like, script a couple of elements, job's done. But with the story, you're going to need a lot more voice acting. You're going to need a lot more scripting of the mission. You're going to need to go over the balance with a much finer comb. I would imagine it'd be a lot more work for them. So instead of having, like, I wouldn't be surprised if instead of having like 5 or 6 DLCs for this, we just get 3 bigger ones that have like maybe storylines nearly as long as the main campaign kind of thing, following different people or following the same people in events that happened afterwards, or a prequel. I don't know. Obviously we've not even played the base game, so I don't know if it makes sense. Maybe we all die at the end of the base game and then we follow someone else's story for a DLC. That would also be awesome. Not the dying part, but like following different people's storylines. So it's all just speculation really at this point. The other thing I could see them doing is they did do the smaller DLC path, but they sort of slot in to the main campaign, kind of like not alternate, but like side stories, like branch stories. Maybe they could go in and something they didn't have time to explore or flesh out in the main campaign. You get like as a small DLC, it has 3 missions, and it takes you off in a wee branch story. It gives you some nice rewards. Maybe, I don't know. I wonder if we're going to be locked into the mech at all times for each person, because with it being a story-based game, I imagine they're each going to have their own personal mech. Then over time, it's going to get like, oh, this guy's been given like a bigger mech. Oh, this guy's been given a bigger mech. Or you just get a third of the way through the game, and you just go from the Lance does something amazing, and you all get rewarded with a much bigger mech. And then towards like the last couple of missions, you just go up again, like to like the really big boys for the Omnimex. I don't know. So maybe you start off in like maybe like little Kit Foxes type things, then you just go to like your Mad Dogs and Timber Wolves, then you just go to the end to the like, is it Dire Wolf? Is that like the really big one? And then there's the 100-tonner, and there's the Warhawk. Is that another really big one? The clan mechs, I'm not as familiar with them yet. I know some of them, like the Stone Rhino, as I said, I've been reading through all the books, and I've only on like the second or so clan book. So yeah, a lot of my knowledge of the clan makes comes from like YAML and then watching Big Red's videos. So yeah, I'm not as knowledgeable of the clan makes yet, so I'm really excited for this game for that. But there we go, I've rambled for nearly 20 minutes. And this was meant to be a little 5-minute video just pointing out a few things that I noticed in that new video. And it is, just to say, it was a 2-minute video and it has got me rambling for hours in different places. Ow. I hope I haven't bored you too much. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.